Red light's on?
It's going now.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
I'd like to call the June 21st, 2022 Water Board meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Nick Furtek,
Present.
Ken Gambala, absent. Bill Manasopoulos,
Present.
Wayne Pondinas,
Present.
Joe Wizawati.
Present.
You have a quorum, but all votes need to be unanimous.
Got it. So we'll move on to number 4, approval of minutes from the May 17th, 2022 regular meeting. Nick, you had any questions on it?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Roll call.
You don't have to do a roll call vote.
You have to,
No, only in virtual.
only virtual, oh, okay.
All those in favor?
Okay. What's that?
All those in favor?
All those in favor, yeah. By saying aye. I'm sorry, I thought you said it had to be everyone.
It has to be unanimous, but it does
gotcha.
not need to be a roll call.
Got it. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 5, new business. Do we,
You want to get started on that, Ken, and just kind of, or Scott, and just kind of fill them in? And then I'll kind of go over how this has to shake out.
Yeah, I do not have an agenda, so I apologize if I'm
Oh.
off script here, but
Here, use mine. Kind of scripted. The minutes.
okay. Scott Cookta with Haas and Associates. Last month's meeting, I sort of previewed the conflict on US 41 with the INDOT box culvert that houses the St. John ditch as it crosses US 41 in the ballpark of 101st and 41 near the Target retail establishment. That's part of the INDOT ongoing US 41 widening project. It's our understanding that this is one of the last underground improvements that they're doing as part of that work. I understand that's been going on for a while, this project. The town has 2 facilities, a 12-inch water main housed in a steel casing. It appears to be about 20 inches. And then also a 12-inch sanitary force main. Both of those lie on top, almost on top of each other, on top of the box culvert on the west side of the highway, running north-south parallel to each other. So as I discussed last month, and that brings us to this month, the town has to relocate or essentially get out of the way of INDOT to take out the existing box culvert that's there and replace it. It's virtually the same size structure. So this isn't sort of a pure conflict because the pipes can actually go back in the exact same place they're in now, exact same locations. But in order for INDOT to put the box culvert in, the pipes are in the way, so they have to come out while INDOT does their work, and then we can put them back in place. The total conflict area that INDOT has declared is 150 linear feet, basically 75 foot in each direction, north-south, centered from the center of that ditch crossing. I've asked for clarification from INDOT. I've not gotten a response yet. On the official INDOT state plans, they're calling for removal of 50 linear foot of that guardrail that's in this area. So we have put together a cost estimate, opinion of probable cost for the work required, and on that you will see that there's actually 2 line items for the removal and the replacement for the water main. One is where the guardrail is not present, presuming that INDOT will have removed the 50 foot of guardrail in that area, and then the balance would require the town's contractor to maintain that guardrail in place. So it'll be a little bit trickier with that guardrail in place. to replace that water main and the sanitary force main. So there's two issues on the agenda tonight related to this. The first one is 5A on the agenda, which is the declaration of emergency. You can read the justifying reasons laid out there. There's 4 of them presented. Then once that is declared, the town can solicit quotes or bids without an advertisement period, as long as it's from at least 2 reputable firms that deal with this type of work. All that does is basically waive the minimum advertisement and sort of wait period for other bids. Which is typically 7 days for quotes, which is under $150,000, or at least 14 days, typically around 21 days in reality, if it's above $150,000 advertised in a newspaper. So the emergency declaration will allow us to directly contact 2 contractors. The plan is to deliver this bid project to Goff Construction, who is the current underground contractor sub to Milestone, which is the state highway contractor that's doing the work out there now. So the theory here, first of all, the town has used Goff before. Goff was the contractor for the redevelopment commission for the West 96 ground improvement project. And then we've also used them as a sub on another project in town related to the West 96 development for some water main work for that project. We've used Milestone multiple times in the town as well, so we have a work history from the town's perspective with both those contractors. But this would be sent to Goff. They're on site now. Theoretically, we would get a better price from them due to lesser mobilization costs since they're already there. And so they would be fully in control of that process, both in terms of removing and replacing the town's facilities, but also putting in that box culvert. Additionally, for competitive purposes and for common sense, we'd want another price. So we're planning to give this to Grimmer Construction to have them quote it. Again, we've used Grimmer multiple times in this town, including on additional conflicts as part of the US 41. The last one, I think, was 108th Street we used them. And then also they were the contractor for the 101st to 101st water main relocation from, I think that was last summer that we did that work. So that would be the plan, is then to send it, so that's item 5B, send it to those 2 contractors for a bid quote price.
How long are we giving these contractors to get back to us? Since we're only sending it to 2?
Yeah, so the goal, the benefit to this process is there's no defined timeline in terms of minimum or maximum. In this case, minimum. We want to move it along as soon as we can.
And we don't need both of them to respond. We only need,
I understand that, but so we can put
So we can set it however we
send
want.
it out tomorrow. We can tell them, hey, we need it by Monday morning.
We could, yep. I mean, in our practice, usually 7 days.
I get it. I'm just
Yeah.
an
Yep.
example.
I mean,
but
you
we
could
can
say
ask for it.
24 hours if you wanted, It's,
Okay.
There really is no restriction that we know of, so.
And then with the guardrail, being that it's a state highway, why is it us that has to maintain it on the easement? Or did I not hear you correctly?
So the state, on the guardrail, there's an existing guardrail that runs all along that section of the road. It's quite, I don't have the total length, but it far exceeds the project area that we're talking about. And so the state already is planning to remove 50 linear feet of that guardrail, basically centered over the ditch, over the box culvert that they're replacing. However, the state is requesting the town relocate or get out of the way 150 feet. So we know a contractor going in to remove and replace the water main would have 50 free feet of access. However, for the balance of that area, they'd have to negotiate around a guardrail that's in place. As I said, I'm still waiting for the state to confirm that that's what they're intending to do, is only remove 50 feet. Ideally, they'd remove 150 feet and we could get in there unobstructed for the whole length. The other purpose of this is we're going to request that they only remove 50 feet now, maybe up to 70 feet of pipe to get out of the state's way. It's a little bit complicated because the 150-foot obstruction zone is what the state is fearful of damaging due to setting up equipment on both sides of the ditch, box culvert excavation area with some heavy equipment, a lot of vibration. The current box culvert that's in the ground, my understanding is that it's a poured in place sort of monolithic unit. They're going to have to drill and really shake that thing to get it out. New box culverts come in small sections. They put them in place, stack them. Goes pretty fast. So the real work is tearing the existing one out. So the state is basically saying, hey, we don't want to be responsible for damaging your facilities underneath our equipment. The actual only hard conflict, I would call, is 50 to 70 feet for where they're actually going to dig down and where pipes would be in the way. The balance of that, the state is basically saying we're not going to be responsible for the other areas that we're setting up on top of. Now, from the town's perspective, I understand why the state wants that reassurance that they won't be responsible from that. But that doesn't mean they are going to damage those pipes, and that's a lot of extra pipe, particularly with this guardrail, to replace if we don't have to. So what we're recommending is we only remove the minimum amount, that's the hard conflict where they're actually going to dig, and then they will put the box culvert in, replace it, put it all back in place. At that point, there are various tests, cameras, pressure tests that we can do on the balance of the pipe that's in place to verify its integrity. If we verify that that pipe was not, in fact, damaged outside of that hard conflict zone, there's really no need to replace that pipe, particularly the sanitary force main, which, based on our sort of limited knowledge of what's out there, appears to be completely west of the guardrail. The water main appears to meander east of the guardrail into the shoulder area of the state highway. So we just don't see it likely that 150 feet of sanitary force main in particular would need to be replaced as part of this. So we don't want to authorize just doing that just because they said to. We would want to verify that it's actually needs to be replaced. So the same holds true for the water. We're just a little less confident because we believe from the town locates that a good portion of the water main is actually on the road side of the guardrail, in which case there's a better chance that they may damage it as they think they will. But again, why replace pipe that you don't need to? So,
But in any event, we did get enough pipe on order because Councilman Pondinas made the call to and secured that.
So, and just so I have for my notes, the state put in the 150 feet or whatever of guardrail. It's their guardrail. In any other sense, to where if we wanted to do something, we would have to get their permission to remove it.
yes, it's a state facility, yeah.
And then you're saying if, and it's a maybe a long shot or whatever, the way you're describing it, if they hit something or damage something, they want us to be on top of, responsible on top of that.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, exactly. So they, basically as the protocol, they identify the total length of the conflict, and then they're not responsible for what happens within that conflict area. That's how it's playing out in this case anyway.
And in your opinion on other sites have you been on, have you seen that, the other way around ever, to where someone else is working on something, they tell the state, hey, we're not responsible for it, and they're like, okay.
Yeah, so as I've discussed about this particular project, US 41 and all these conflicts over the last 2 years, the shoe is often on the other foot. The town is often, most of the roadways are rights of way within the town that the town controls. And so when the town puts in a new road or a new improvement, the other utilities, Comcast, NIPSCO and everything, they have to jump at their cost. So this is the limited case. It just happens to be a long spine down the middle of the town, and it's definitely the most popular road in town, where the state controls that right of way, and within their right of way, we're the town of St. John, just another utility. They view us as the same as Comcast or NIPSCO or whatnot. So in that case, basically it's all their facilities. Now the town and Comcast and NIPSCO have a legal right to be in the right of way. But the state gets to determine where in the right of way we have to go. So it's just this dance. And like I said, unfortunately in this case, It's the state's right away.
Just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
So we're on the same page on that.
yeah, I mean, we're trying to coordinate with the state as much as possible. That is why if Goff hopefully would give some friendlier prices for being on site, that would be the best solution out of all this, but that is by no means guaranteed.
And how long, once we decide who we're going with, how long are we anticipating the job to be done?
So the water mains, Public Works has isolated the valves. That actually can be shut down basically at any time. The water main can be isolated on the west side. It's actually some pretty remarkable news out of this. It was a break that went the town's way in that regard. The sanitary force main likewise can be essentially shut down at any time. We have two other outlets from Lift Station 1 that head east. But the sanitary force main has to be drained. The water main has to be drained too, but it's, potable water, so it's a much less significant thing. So they have to pump out the sanitary force main. It's the same thing that we did when we lowered the sanitary force main a couple hundred feet to the south as last year's project for a different conflict. But I realize that's not your board. So if it's GOV, it would just be mobilization from the contractors. We have not defined that in the bid. That's something we would talk to each contractor about as we approach them with this, about what's a realistic schedule. The goal would be to get, essentially it's a two-stage project. There's two mobilizations. We put that in the bid. So mobilization 1 is drain the water main and drain the sanitary main and cap them at the two ends of the conflict. And then depending on the state's preference, we could even take the pipe out in that 50 to 70 feet of what we know is going to be a real conflict. Then they will demobilize, and the state will get in there and do their work. That box culvert, we were told that could be 2 weeks of work alone, and that's without any delays. So, I don't know, 3 weeks I would say for that. At which point then we would green light essentially the second milestone of this project, which is coming back and putting the pipe back in place and getting the mains back in service for the town. So I don't have a direct answer as to when they get out there. That definitely could be a role in determining which quote to go with too, if they're equal and one can be out there tomorrow and the other one is 6 weeks out. And I'm happy to take in advisement if you guys have any thoughts about that specifically, but obviously the purpose of the emergency declaration and moving this forward is to get it done, get the conflict area out of conflict as soon as possible.
Joe, and it might sound thing, but when you declare an emergency, it's just for this incident, this project, right?
Right. So we spoke with council about this. We went back and forth on how this needs to be. It's basically a two-step process. So the Waterworks Board would declare an emergency and require the 12-inch water main temporarily abandon, removal, and replacement at US 41 St. John Ditch crossing in the public. Crossing is a public works emergency pursuant to IC 36-112-9 of the Indiana Code. So that would justify the declaration, and that would be part of the motion for the declaration. And then the second part, as he was speaking about, is the basically the Waterworks Board would be administered through Haas and Associates, authorizing solicitation construction quotes for the temporary abandonment, removal, and replacement of up to 150 linear feet of 12-inch diameter water main at the project site. Time is of the essence. Quotes for the project will be sought under an emergency basis pursuant to IC 36-1-12-9 for a minimum of 2 contractors, specifically Goff Inc. and Grimmer Construction Inc., known in the public construction work for work performed. So basically there would be the two motions. The other part of that motion I would also add is that Goff would review the bids, and then we would just authorize the work at that point.
Haas would
Haas
review-
would authorize,
okay.
Haas
Review the bids.
would review the
Okay.
bids
You said
and
no,
then
so.
recommend to the town manager to go ahead and move forward with that. Of course, I would, before we did that, send it to the Waterworks Board, because I think you guys need to know, here's our quotes, and this is what Haas is recommending before authorized, so that way we don't have to have special meetings and all that other stuff. It's the reason being is an emergency situation. That's it.
Wayne, you got any questions, comments, or anything?
With this project, there's no valves, it's just pipe, no hot taps?
No hot taps,
Okay.
other than the pressure tap to drain the sanitary, but no main hot taps.
We save some money that way, and the pipe's already procured by us. They just have to do the emergency
Yeah.
declaration.
And yeah, thanks for bringing that up. In this cost estimate is included the contractor providing it. So this is a conservative measure, because my understanding is the town's taking action this week to procure that pipe. So there'll be some material savings.
We don't want that to be a reason, we can't get it, the pipe.
Yeah, we don't need that.
That was a good call
Yeah.
to get that done.
You got anything else?
No, I'm good. Makes sense.
So, gonna ask for a motion to declare the emergency under the Indiana code. So Haas can,
Or just emergency declaration. right?
emergency declaration first, separately then?
Yeah, we're gonna do two separate.
So could I get a motion for that?
Yeah, make a motion to do the emergency replacement.
A declaration of emergency?
Yeah.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It passes 2-0. Now the second one will be,
So the second one would be for the, to authorize the town engineer, Haas and Associates, to solicit the quotes for the temporary abandonment, removal, and replacement of about 150 linear feet, 12-inch diameter water main at the site location, pursuant to the emergency declaration and per 36-1-12-9, to solicit these from Goff Inc. and Grimmer Construction Inc., and to authorize Haas to review the bids and make recommendation to the town manager to authorize the work
who will then bring it to the water board.
prior to approval.
Okay.
Yeah, for further review.
For further review by the water board before approval.
Yeah, but no, it ain't gonna constitute a meeting. We're just gonna send it to you guys for your feedback on that, so we can move forward with it. If there's obviously an issue where that you feel that it needs to be done at a meeting, then we can constitute an emergency meeting.
So that's where I'm a little confused, is if we're declaring the emergency, it comes to you, you decide this is what it is.
Upon the recommendation.
Upon the recommendation of, obviously, the engineers.
Right.
So at that point, you'll send it to us.
Yeah, if you guys say, no, we want to take a formal vote on this, then
Okay.
we'd have to declare, or we'd have to have an emergency meeting.
Okay, I understand now. Thank you.
Otherwise, if you guys are good with it, then
We can move ahead.
move forward, yeah.
Nick, I'm looking for a motion to, exactly what Joe read. I mean, I'll read it all back off. To have Haas Engineers authorize a solicitation of construction quotes from Golf and Grimmer Construction
Pursuant to the emergency declaration.
pursuant to the emergency declaration for the US 41 project.
For Haas to review the bids and make their recommendation to the town manager to sign off, subject to final review by the water board.
Is there a motion?
I'll second that.
No, is there a motion?
Oh, I'd like to make a motion to. So move.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes 2-0.
All right.
And then the other issue, Joe, I don't know how you want to handle this, but in terms of which board, so the sanitary board is going to go through a similar process
Oh,
about
yeah,
which
that's
board is
right.
going to manage the contract
Yeah.
then.
So with respect to what Scott's bringing up, instead of going back and forth to both boards, I think we were doing like a cost split on that, and I think you came up with a number on that.
We have a number from the estimate. It's a unit price contract like most underground work that we do. So while there is a number in particular as it's broken out, so items 7 through 14 would be the responsibility of the sanitary district, regardless of what those extended cost estimates. Again, those are just estimates, so we don't have the bid numbers, which are contract numbers yet. But most importantly are those units associated with those. So those pay items 7 through 14, you would, if the water board were managing the contract or administering the contract, would then seek reimbursement from the sanitary district for those items. Items 1 through 6, these are virtually the same projects. For frankly simplicity, those are the general items up top. We would recommend just a 50-50 split between the boards on those items.
No, I was looking for just now. No, okay.
So basically, what he was saying is that the water board, or the Waterworks board would be taking lead on the thing,
Right.
essentially, so that way that we're only doing one contract instead of two separate contracts. It just makes things a little bit easier in terms of managing the project, I guess. And so that way, the sanitary board would reimburse the Waterworks board for the work that's done.
So they're gonna split 193,620.
Well, not quite. That's why I was, not that you have them in front of you, I apologize. I
Okay.
assumed you had them.
Thank
So
you.
we'll go through it again. So you'll split items 1 through 6, 50-50 between the boards.
Okay.
Those are general basically
Like
overhead
30K.
items. Yeah.
Yeah.
You will pay none of 7 through 14. Well, you will, but you'll be theoretically reimbursed from the sanitary. For items 7 through 14, and then you will be responsible, so then the shoe's on the other foot, then you would be responsible for 15 through 24, items 15 through 24 in their entirety.
Right. So in this, you have 20% built in for contingency on this?
That's built into all those numbers already.
Cost, yeah. Okay.
And
So
with
the
this
total
market,
amount's 193,620 is his opinion of cost on this thing. And that would be basically getting reimbursed 90,660 based on that number.
Exactly.
And what we-
However, but please caution again.
Right.
The opinions of probable cost ahead of bidding in a very insane time, so.
And you said this does include the acquisition of the pipe and everything too?
It does, so it's conservative in that regard if the material's in there. And then again, now that you have it in front of you, so you'll see items 15 and 16 under potable water main. Item 15 is that 50 linear foot where we assume the guardrail had been removed and our contractor will be able to get in there pretty easily. Item 16 is that balance of the conflict area where we believe the support or protection of that guardrail would have to be part of their cost. So it's going to be a more costly procedure for them. That's the item we hope to not even have to use or use only a portion of it. So again, this theoretically should be the maximum, should be a conservative guide. We would hope to actually do better on several of these items. But we've, again, seen very crazy things in the world of construction pricing over the last year and a half, so.
So, I have no problem with us taking the lead or, paying everything out, but the sanitary board is after us. I don't want to speak for them. So maybe we hold it till they come and make the motion. Could they make and I don't have a problem making the motion and approving it pending the sanitary board, but I don't want to talk to,
Right. I
for
mean,
that.
and that might be a good idea is that,
If-
we basically go ahead and do it pending approval.
Yeah, as long as they have no problem with it. I mean,
And then with respect to, that, maybe stay and speak on the matter, because basically what we're discussing here, we're going to be discussing there. Yeah.
so,
And I don't think we need a motion to take lead on it. It's just, I think it's just kind of an FYI thing, isn't it?
Well, we're definitely, Odds and Associates, we're not attorneys, so I
Yeah.
don't want to, I mean, one suggestion maybe is you just modify the motion that was accepted to be contingent upon the sanitary district's approval of that arrangement. Or is it
Or
a
just
separate
have
motion? I
A
don't
separate
know.
motion to go ahead and take lead on the project, subject to the approval of the sanitary board.
I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to take lead on the project pending the approval from the sanitary board.
I'll second that.
You
I
can't make a
I'm
motion.
sorry, I'm
Oh.
entertaining a motion, I forgot,
Oh.
there's no Ken. I'll entertain a motion,
Force a habit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a yes?
Yes. Sorry.
So moved.
Also move.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 2-0.
Okay. Clear as mud.
Yeah, pretty much.
Item C is a request.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this is kind of a
Purchase.
duplicate request. We were 20 feet short in the pipe acquisition, I guess, so there, what we did is, at the request of the clerk treasurer's office, went ahead and redid the RTP that was previously done for the 18-inch main to include the additional 10 feet, but it's now two separate. One's for the original amount and then the additional amount. So the first one is for core and main for, which again was previously approved for $94,729. That was for 860, is it? How many feet?
How many feet, Wayne?
It was 800 and,
60 at 20?
I think it was 800 feet, then we went to 860.
Yeah.
But I should have said 850. I said 850, it should have been 860, so that's the difference for that one stick, is that $1,000.
Yeah.
And they delivered it, we have it all in our possession, we just have to, pay them that extra.
So the amount that we're needing to approve tonight, Joe, is how much?
For the additional amount
Yeah.
is $1,101.50. And then there's another one, the previous one that was approved, so that way there's, for the total amount of $94,729, which is 860 feet.
Right.
It was 850.
Right.
So
And-
we corrected the original one, but we're showing the additional amount, just so we have a total, and then the additional amount that was not approved previously.
So I don't have that sheet, and I don't need a copy of it. So the motion is for $94,729.50,
The total amount,
total amount.
right, which was
Including the.
the 1101.50. Yeah, correct.
I'm looking for a motion for the approval,
I'll make a motion for approval for, what was it?
$94,729.50.
$729.50?
Yes.
All right.
Joe, 50 cents?
$94,729 even,
Even?
and then the additional portion of that is 1101.50.
All right, that's,
That's the motion.
okay. Well, no, that's what I asked, if it was a total number there.
Yeah,
In the 94.
The total number was 94,729.
29, right.
The previous amount was 93,627.50.
We're on the same page. I got you. I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 2-0. Old business. Contract 1, 2022 water main replacement projects.
I did not know that was on the agenda, so the last, it might just be an accidental holdover.
We're
unless-
just giving them an update on what was going on with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
At the last, I think it was the last month's meeting, we killed that project. So the contract won the bid.
It was for the water main replacements.
We only had the one bid from Dyer.
Yeah,
They
and I thought-
broke out a separate number, gave us 85th. That was still quite high. So the summary for that is basically those plans are ready to go. So at that meeting, we had discussed the potential to just rebid it this fall to either get that work done over the winter or early next year. The goal would be to get that water main on 85th minimally replaced prior to next paving season because that road needs to be repaved.
And that's going to be
so-
part of the CCMG?
I believe that's the plan, yeah. Yep, we're doing the 85th on the east side of town this year, and then that would be,
West one.
So which ones did we cancel?
so that's
This
the
was
all-
done at the last meeting, correct?
Yeah, so that was contract one, all of them. So it was a combination of the Alcott's, the Alcott North and Alcott South, and the 96th and 97th Court, I believe. And then 85th from Primrose
to Magnolia.
Yeah.
There's been breaks out there since, so it definitely needs to be replaced.
Might want to take a look at Acorn, too.
Yeah, I heard it's still.
Yeah, they're looking at that too.
Primrose to what, you said?
Magnolia. Yeah.
And that's
So-
the one with, and that's the one on 85th is the one that's, we need to approve before next paving season? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so I mean, the gist is those numbers came in really high and we only had one bid. That's part of that suite of bond projects. So we've now gotten the IDEM approval to drill well 9, which is fantastic.
And that was also part of the issue, I think, is 8 and 9, we wanted to make sure we didn't,
Yeah.
you know, go short on money with that, too, because the bond money.
Yeah, the bond money's for 8 and 9,
Yeah.
and
This was
tying
in
into the Monix plant
Right. No, I get that part.
And so we may.
and the SCADA system.
Right, so we might want to consider doing 85th as a separate thing, maybe earlier this fall, so that way it gets done. Just to.
What's
do
the
that as a
time,
one-off.
what's the time limit on that before the town loses any matching funds or what? It's,
Well, it's bond money, so,
it's for the, but aren't we repaving that, you said? 85th?
As a separate project, yeah, not related to the water funds.
right.
But I'm saying though, we're gonna hold off on the water main, repave it, and then do the main? Am I?
No, I think
Other way around.
You're right, we're going to do the
No,
main.
I understand. I know the which way it's supposed to go, but the way
Oh,
it's
yeah.
sounding
No, we're
is.
going to do the main first.
So I thought,
but I
did we
think-
just say we just canceled all those?
We did, but if we were to go ahead and just rebid that portion out, or, you know, depending on what the scope of work would be for that,
Yeah.
keeping the same scope of work, if you will,
Uh-huh.
just to get that done before we start doing the paving project.
Okay, and then I think that was my original question. When is it? When is the paving?
2023, summer of 2023.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Okay.
We've got time to rebid
We got
it.
time on it. I just
hopefully
don't
get
wanna-
more
yeah.
No, I
competitive.
understand that's,
Yeah.
got it.
We just don't want to, we don't want to get up to the last day and, oh, we're starting the paving project and now we got to tear up a brand new
Right.
street.
Okay.
And were we looking at doing the FDR on that, full depth?
I don't think that's official yet, but that seems to be how it's going, and it may depend on how well it goes on the east part of 85th this summer, so. I think we're still waiting on corings and some other things for that, but to make that final call.
Okay.
Okay, item B is the consideration of water bill adjustments for seniors. I know that we've been talking about it for a while. What we've come up with is the senior water rate will be available for anyone 65 and over that wants to apply. We will be making applications available through the clerk's office. And then we anticipate it starting it right when sprinkling season is over. So when sprinkling rates are over, having it take effect then. You got any questions there, Joe or Wayne?
So that would be sprinkling rates end of September 15th, so maybe
Right.
the start of October
Right,
rather than September 1st because
Yeah.
you
'cause it's
got 2
halfway
weeks.
through.
Okay.
yeah.
So, what rate are we at?
So we were looking to take the seniors back to the rate that it was before our increase of 30%. So we're gonna take the 30% off the water bill for them.
So would that probably need to be done by, I would imagine by ordinance, right?
What's that?
The change for the.
Yeah, we're gonna submit everything.
And if I'm not
I
mistaken.
don't, no, not the water rates. Water rates are done by the utility board.
Right, what I'm saying is, I don't know if there's a required for public hearing, so,
You wanna jump in? Wayne? No, not you, I was looking at you, Scott, but I'm talking to Wayne. I was trying to get this.
No,
one.
I don't know, we'll have to check on it.
Yeah, let me check and I'll report
Yeah.
back to you guys to let you know if there's because with the changing on rates and stuff like that, yeah, that's out of my realm. I would definitely want to check with council.
Yeah,
to
make
find
sure
out.
everything's right before we
Yeah.
say something.
Because you may need.
Well, it's announced, it's happening, it's
Right.
just.
You may,
let's
you
make
may
sure.
need, you may need to have, I don't know if there's an ordinance required or whatever that would be required to change the rate, but also if there's a public hearing required, stuff like
Wayne,
that.
when we raised the rates for the bond issue, was there, do we need to?
We had some meetings and we had the public.
I know we had the public.
Right, we
You
had
did that as
the public
informational.
meetings. Right.
I was there at that one. You did it as informational, but was there a need for one?
Yes, there was.
Okay.
I'll check and I'll,
That's fine,
like
Joe.
I said, I'll send you guys a.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'll send all the emails, but
yeah.
a motion for Joe to entertain a motion for Joe, the town manager, to look into the particulars of getting the senior water rate going
And report back.
and report back to the water board.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. So,
So moved.
yeah, so moved.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Reports and correspondence.
I got one.
For you?
I gave the members a copy of the notice that's going to be going out, just basically letting everyone know that we're taking a proactive approach to water conservation. So effective immediately, the town of St. John is implementing the following sprinkler management plan. One addresses ending in an even number may only sprinkle and water lawns on even number days of the month. Addresses ending in odd numbers may only sprinkle and water lawns on odd number days of the month. So the reason that this has kind of become necessary is because we've gotten a huge amount of water usage during the hours of 4 a.m. through 8 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I don't know if the sprinkler contractor that is installing sprinklers is just automatically setting these up on those specific days, but we've got to manage our water better. And this is probably a nice proactive way to do that without, an outright like sprinkler ban. So we don't want to do that, obviously. We want to make sure we're managing our water responsibly. So until we see some kind of improvement to that, we want to at least try this and see where this goes, I think.
So we're asking people to do this, or we're telling them this is what they have to
So
do?
this is the plan that we put together for the town. So this is something that we're asking as a voluntary basis. Going forward, if there's not people that are partaking in this process, then obviously we would have to take it to another level, which we may end up even going a little further to institute that process while this plan is in effect. Hopefully, this people take and acknowledge and adhere to it, and if they don't, then the next step would be, and I'll let Wayne, if you want to chime in.
What's
on
through those hours of 4 to 8 a.m.?
Yeah.
How much are we pumping?
We are at maximum capacity. The Hack water tower, which is a 500,000 gallon tank, is draining precipitously during that time. We're trying some different techniques to kind of arrest and slow down that process by putting valves in. Something that may need to be happen at some point is an altitude valve put in at Hack that might cause the issue to abate. What they're trying to do is to watch and see if Kilkenny and Gates water tower kind of go down, and it takes the pressure off of Hack. So that's we're trying some different things over there. So I got to give our water guys a lot of credit. They're working hard at trying to manage the problem. So
Have we looked into anything else as far as water conservation other than telling people when they can and can't, or suggest to people when they can and can't sprinkle their lawn or water their lawn?
well, that's the most critical time, and that's obviously what we're seeing is on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and it's on those days specifically where the problem is. And it's a critical problem because obviously you drain your water tower, you're you know, you lose your pressure, and we don't want to get to that point, so.
So are we, is it
We are,
anything else like the bulk water that we get for,
well, that's the other thing, is the bulk water, we're gonna temporarily shut that down, because obviously that's just taking water out of the system that we're paying the town of Sherrville for right now. And we're getting about 1.5 a day out
Yeah,
of it.
1.2 million gallons a day from
Yeah,
Sherrville.
It's a
And
crazy amount.
they're gonna put a altitude valve in the Kilkenny Tower, but you can't do that in the summertime, so that's, you guys approved it. They're making it now, and it should be here maybe September.
Okay.
When things slow up, then that has to be mounted vertical inside the tower. There has to be a pad put down. One of our guys could probably build the shed around it, the walls, and then the electric is gonna be run to it, so there's heat in there, so that valve don't freeze. So it'll be like a little shed inside there with the altitude valve in there. And that altitude valve then can be run on the SCADA system, where it can turn on and off, and it can run full open, half open, and that'll keep the water flowing to help improve the water hydraulics for the town. And that could help. The altitude valve that's in the Gates Tower, that's working good, and that's helping. So, and that's feeding Hack Street. So it's just going to take time, and just trial and error.
so we're asking the residents
Right.
to follow this. It's their choice and prerogative to do it if they want to, as of now.
Correct,
So it's their choice. We're shutting down the bulk water.
correct.
Effective when?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning? Anything else?
We
getting-
wanted to advise you guys before we made that.
Anything else getting shut off before?
Well, we shut the sprinklers off here
Okay, that's it?
and the police department.
Okay,
So, yeah, I mean, we're trying to set the example, not.
I understand,
Yeah.
but nothing else, right?
Yeah. I mean, not that I'm aware of now.
So you're looking for?
Well, it's just,
Doesn't need anything.
No, it's just-
voluntary, it's
it-
just informational.
right, it's letting you guys know.
not-
This is
yeah,
gonna, this is gonna go out in the water bill too.
Got it.
Yeah,
I know it's a little bit hot outside and.
Yeah.
A splash pad isn't shutting down, right?
we're probably going to shut the splash pad down. That's 60,000 gallons of water a day.
Is that all
So-
recycled, is that all recycled through there, or is it just?
No, it's all
So is that as a,
just water, fresh water,
Okay.
treated water.
so, again,
The
when we're
recommend-
shut, we're, and the voluntary stuff, I don't really care. But now when we're shutting down pretty much the only free amenity that parents can take their kids to outside of their house or playing video games or whatever else is our splash pad.
Right.
So that, I don't know if this board can say anything about that, but
And you're looking at basically 3 swimming pools, big swimming
Mm-hmm.
pools, 27-foot round swimming pools.
Joe, I get that part, and most
I
of
mean,
this,
it's a lot of water.
most of this was done before you were here.
Right.
Obviously.
And we
I
got a
mean,
lot of work to do. I mean.
We got
Sincerity,
a
we've got
lot
a
of
lot
work
of
to do. I mean,
to get this problem
but
fixed.
it's our kids that are now
Right.
have nothing else to do while we're just popping up stuff without our infrastructure being ready for it, basically. If I'm correct.
Well, I mean, and it's been that way for some time, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not doubting that, but our system can't keep up with what we have right now.
Right. I think it's the system can, it's just the demand that it can't keep up with because we don't have the volume,
Well, I mean,
storage volume.
I get it, but
We don't have that.
everything that's been, coming into town
Yeah.
and built.
I mean, 8 and 9,
Everything
is
else-
that gonna help? Sure,
Right.
it's gonna help.
I mean, realistically, it would have been nice to have 8 and 9 before we,
10 years ago.
10 years ago, before we did all that. There was no forward thinking.
Right.
I can say for me, as a water utility, I'm against the splash pad being shut down because of our failure as a town to plan accordingly. And I just want that on the record.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure how much they actually pull out of the bulk water, but I know there's a lot. When people are coming here and paying for gas to come here from Crown Point to bring it back to Crown Point,
Wayne, what's the rate
Obviously,
for
it's cheap.
our bulk water
$6.50.
per what?
It's,
Per 1,000?
yeah, it's like $10 for 1,000 gallons of water. It takes about 8.5 minutes to fill, last time we checked it.
So on the next
That's
agenda,
kinda
could you
cheap.
put that on there for discussion of the bulk water rate being raised?
That needs to go up to probably about $20,
Well,
in my opinion.
could we make sure on the next agenda it's on there?
Absolutely. Yeah, you got it.
That would be a good idea. And maybe you could spare the splash pad for a week and see what happens.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to that. I mean, it's,
I mean, if
to me, I don't think that's really gonna,
if we're shutting down our sprinkler systems, asking everyone to volunteer to do this, and we're shutting down the bulk,
I think,
you know.
I think the issue isn't, the time when, between 10 and 3 or 10 and 5, whenever the kids go out there. That's not our biggest problem. Our biggest problem is in the morning between, when people are watering their grass. That's the biggest problem. That's all I had.
Any project updates? Wayne?
Yeah, the
Project updates?
system's going along good.
Yeah.
Everything else is moving along pretty good.
Okay, move on to the payment of bills. Entertain a motion for the payment of the Water District docket at, Water District, for
18,000,
$78.89.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the water bill at $18,000, $78.89.
So moved. Or second, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Item B is the water utility dockets in the amounts,
291,255.43.
I can read, Joe.
Okay.
I'm joking.
It's small on that thing.
Yeah, I know.
I can't read it.
It's small.
I got 30 years on you, kid. Yeah. I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the water at $291,255.43.
I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public comment? Anything else before we go? Joe, Jason? No?
Just sign.
Wayne? Yeah.
Nothing.
No? Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Motion to.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.